It's time for Who Watch, Time and Relative Blackness in Space.
Black girls have the box.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana and Robyn coming to you live from the Time Vortex. Connie is off on the SS Razzmatazz, but joining us today is Nicole of Black TARDIS on Twitter.
Hi guys.
Hi Nicole.
Thank you for joining us. We're very excited about this.
Thank you for inviting me.
Today, we are discussing episode 4 of Doctor Who season 11, Arachnids in the UK. In this episode, the Doctor is in charge. Yaz wants more for her life, and Ryan hates spiders. Which is, understandable.
Valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
Especially after this episode.
Yeah. So this episode, we are back in the present, which
it's been 15 or 30 minutes, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, it took the TARDIS, it's more than a few tries to get there, but when it got back, they at least were not gone for a year or two,
Yeah.
At least no one was really missing them, at least.
No one was getting hounded by the police.
Right.
So.
But I thought it was interesting to start off because I feel like there are so many moments in this season so far that remind me of 10. And I don't know if that's just because I really like 10 and that's just where my brain goes, but that the moment where they're kind of okay, thanks, where she's dropping them off and they're like, thanks, it was good to hang out and all this stuff. And it reminded me slightly of 10 and Martha, even though it was obviously 10 was very much you're not staying with me. We're going to one and done situation. Yeah. So I thought that part was interesting. And I also like to see how the Doctor was kind of she was trying to kind of deal with and try to deal with the prospect of having to be alone again.
I really liked how she looked super forlorn and was just oh yeah, I guess I'm gonna be by myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she looked so sad.
She did look really sad, but also I feel we're still dealing with her new personality of being a little bit more equanimable, I think is what we were saying, or a little bit more just in tune with other people's feelings and not being so, what did you call it, Bayana? Presumptuous, I guess. Yeah. So she obviously didn't want them to leave her, or she didn't want to be alone, right? But she didn't want to broach the subject, right?
Yeah, she didn't want to ask them and make them feel like they have to say yes. She wanted to give them the option to ask to come with her.
Yeah. And it wasn't because often the Doctor has kind of been well, travels in space and time and anywhere you want to go. I mean, you could stay, but if you wanted to, we could go to Barcelona, the planet Barcelona. And then
she the Doctor really does seduce the companions a lot of the times. And this time she very much didn't. Which I loved, too, coming after Rosa, because it's I literally just put you guys in danger. And I didn't do it, the thing I liked about Rosa, too, was the danger was true to life and historical. It was just a dangerous time for anyone to live.
Right.
So it wasn't even I took you somewhere and then all of a sudden Daleks show up and this, you know what I mean? But in general, traveling in space and time is dangerous, or there is an element of danger there. So
I like that. I feel it seems she understands that there is a trauma after certain things and that everybody can't just go. And so it's you give them an out to okay, I don't think I can deal with a Rosa situation again. I don't think I can, be stuck on a planet. But it's other doctors are like, no, like a lot of things have happened to you, but we're going right on to the next place. And it's like, for her, I feel like she's more empathetic. So she's like, maybe this might be a little much for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I feel like whenever the doctor has seduced people in the past, it's been like, we can go see like the 3 moons of Trinzalor or whatever it is. And like the spa of whatever. And like never brings up the fact that like, and you can also possibly get, upgraded by a Cyberman.
Right.
Like that part doesn't ever, that's not in the pitch to come and travel in time. So
yeah, and I think this time too, because it was like an involuntary thing, like she didn't get to be on some like, oh, do you guys want to travel in my TARDIS? She was just like, oh, just sorry, you're in space.
They literally were like in the vacuum of space. So it's like I literally you had no option in the matter here. And then like everything after that was just them trying to get back. So it's like, you might not actually want to be here. So
our whole goal is to get here. Now we're here, and I had fun with y'all, but I guess this is why we're like, this was the goal.
Yeah,
we accomplished it. But then I also like that Yaz, and I like that they all kind of don't want to like leave, but also don't know how to say it. And then I like how Yaz is like, well, you want to just come for tea? Like, might as well just do that. And the doctor's like, yep, let's do that. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fun.
I love how fast she switched. Like, I love she was just like, what? Okay, I'm with it. Like, let's lock this up. Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was left definitely. I never had tea. Yeah, this is just as exciting as going to a new planet. Like, this is an adventure. I did love, because I feel like what you're saying, like they were all kind of not wanting it to end, but not knowing how to say that, and like. Not knowing what would come next, and Yaz. And I think this is one of those, we talked about in previous episodes, it's going to be like, we had the 2 Ryan episodes, the 3 Ryan episodes.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into the Yaz-centric episodes. And she very much is, like we saw in Rosa when she was like, I want to be in charge. She very much knows who she is, I think, and is just trying to like, get to that point where she wants to be. And so she very much took charge in that situation and was I'm going to say the thing.
Yeah. And I think when we like see her with her family, like once we get like to her flat, like you kind of see that not only does she like want more for her life and like know where she wants to be, she wants other people. Like, I think part of the problem is that other people don't see her in that way. And so she's so like her dad calling her a police woman, and she's like, police officer. Pops, like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, or there are moments where like and it's not just her family, because then homeboy Jack Robertson says something about her, like, oh, aren't you supposed to be in school or something like that? And so it's like constantly being like taken for granted and underestimated and like talked down to, where that makes her kind of want to just like prove everyone wrong. And
I don't know. Wait, where are we? I just want to go into the shipping so bad. I just want to like hop on board.
We're there because
you want to just do it? We can do it.
So then what happens is that like they find out, like Ryan and Yaz figure out how close they live to each other, and there's just like this like lingering look that Ryan gives Yaz, and I was like, that's one, and then I just started clocking all of the ships, all of the
that's
like
hilarious.
SS, like, is this where we get on board? Is this all on board? Or
I had a question though. I had a question because like Doctor Who doesn't do things on accident, and sometimes the things they do on purpose are like, why would you do that? Or now it's making things confusing.
I just rewatched season 5.
I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm like, let's not even. I have like, oh my goodness.
I know.
But,
right, but
I say that to say that like they don't often do things by accident, and like so there keeps being things where like Ryan and Yaz meet up in the forest, and they're like, oh wait, you know what I mean? Like they don't recognize each other at first, and they're like, oh wait, yeah, we used to hang out, and then like, or at least we used to go to class together or whatever, and then they're like this time they're realizing that they have lived really close to each other this entire time, and like it feels like there's something that's like, and it feels at this point because it's been, I think there was one other thing that I'm forgetting, but like. It feels
something keeping them apart.
Either keeping them apart or finally now pulling them together. That it's like not like I'm wondering if that's going to be like something
that happened that led to them being connected in this way that we're going to find out later. Same situation.
Because then I'm like,
I would appreciate it,
or is it like? I think it would be too. But it just reminds me of like in my head I was thinking of it as like a Clara thing, except better done, hopefully.
Yeah, like if they're the same age makes it way better. Just because I always hate like when there's a different age and it's like an adult meets the child, but then the child grows up and likes the adult. I'm like, wait a minute now. But like with this,
you posted that on Twitter, and it I was already not great about the Clara Ryan thing because like also, by the way, if you're new to Tarbis. Ryan can't come on our TARDIS. Like, he's not.
Danny.
Danny. Sorry.
Danny. I was like, Clara, no,
Danny. I got Ryan on the brain. I was always a little iffy about Clara and Danny, and Danny has never been allowed on our TARDIS. But when you said that about her meeting him as a kid, like, and then like helping him when he was a kid, I was like,
that's my thing.
Oh,
I don't like it in general, and that's the thing because I watch other things with time travel in it, and it's like. Nobody thinks about, like, this is a grown person meeting, like, you're imprinting on them in a way. So it's like, are they growing up to like you for themselves or because all their life they've been thinking about this person and then they meet them, like, oh my goodness, he's the same age? Okay, wait a minute. And it's like, like, that takes me out. Like, I'm always like, oh, wait, that's not acceptable. I don't think that works out.
It doesn't work.
So
and I never really thought about it.
People.
Oh, and then now when you think about the fact that like Moffat's about to redo The Time Traveler's Wife, and
no, thank you.
Okay, that is the movie. I can't even watch that movie because of that exact plot thing. Like, he meets her. Like the first time she meets him, he's already his grown self. But like the first time, you know what I mean? I'm like, I get it, that's your wife now, but you meet her as a child, so that may be why. You know, it was just one of the things. Like I can't even. I'm not gonna read the book because it's probably gonna make me even more mad. I don't like that.
I mean, I think if the first time you meet is as adults, and then you are time traveling, you go back and see them as children, maybe that's
one
different.
Thing.
But if the first time you meet them is they're a kid, and that's your first like interaction, and you have the whole like I'm a mysterious time traveler on top of it.
But see, the problem is like
once you meet them as a kid,
you met them as a kid, so no matter where that is in your timeline, they were a kid. So that might be the first time they saw you. They were a child. Like that just happened. So like Ryan and Yaz being of the same age and clearly having grown up. Like in a similar way, and if that ever like if it happens, like we met as kids or something happened, at least it's not like they have influence over each other because they're like equals in a lot of ways. And that's why I was like, I'm on board for if there's some kind of trickery going on here.
I think so.
Yeah. So I think that there was like a lingering look with Ryan and Yaz, and then they go to meet her family, and the sister asks like how they know each other, if they're just friends or something.
She was definitely flirting. Like I saw it twice. She was like, y'all ain't together.
I think she said like, oh, that's nice, or like, that's good, right? Good. Like
Ryan's face when after she said that though cracked me up because he was just like, okay. It's like that Waka gif where he's just like, okay.
But also the thing that like got me though was that when he was like, yeah, we're just friends, and Yaz said, yeah, we're just friends, and then they like go back to Ryan's face and he looks a little crestfallen. And then I was like, all aboard?
Like, they don't talk about, like, they really are, like, not addressing anything that could put, like, they've had looks several times where it's like, is this a look or am I reading into it? But it's like, they've had a few looks and I'm like, okay, somebody got to be the person, like, okay, so what's going on?
Yeah. At some point that has to happen. But I think now they're very much just trying to be like, no, we're just cool. We're fine. It's cool. We just met each other again. I mean.
So, I'm going to just, like, call a thing a thing. I just watched I think this is season 7. After, remember when the Pawns get divorced? Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh my God,
hilarious.
But the Asylum of the Daleks and Rory and Amy are yelling about like when he's like, I love you more than you love me, which is like, okay, but that doesn't mean that you have the capacity to love more than she does, which is the thing that the Daleks are going to eat. But whatever, sure. This is the fight that you're having, and then Amy's like, I gave you up. And then the doctor, and then they're like, oh, we didn't need to have this fight because we both have the things that are going to stop us from becoming Dalek puppets. And then the doctor is like behind the curtain, like puppet stringing. I am looking forward to another, and I think that we can have this despite Trisket just being in the way of like Ryan and Yaz and the Doctor having really great interpersonal moments, and I'm hoping that like the anchor gets pulled up on the SS Razzmatazz when the Doctor is the one that's like pulling the anchor and like does the thing and is like, okay guys, enough is enough. Yeah, kiss. Mm-hmm. You like her?
I can see it.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Because she's definitely settled, more in tune to people. Like I feel like some of the, especially, and I'm gonna say like Capaldi guy. I love him as like he was killing it, but like he really was just he didn't have no type of empathetic understanding of his companion. Like he like did not see them. So like I love that 13 is like, okay, I see like what you are, what you feeling, and like she's very in tune. So I think she could definitely gonna be the person that sees it maybe before they do. Like, oh, she might drop them somewhere random just to like knowing it'll put them in. You know what I mean? Like end up somewhere where they'll end up together in a way that like just to be fun. Because that's definitely on brand for the Doctor.
It's going to be like, Graham, you come with me. We're going this way.
Right.
You go that way.
Right. Like we're going to split up. And then it's like they just going to do something, whatever, and then they're having a little adventure, and she knows.
She knows.
But I also think it's like once she settles, because I think she's still a little like jittery and she's clocking all of these things, but it's still not totally sure how she reacts to them or like how she's going to react.
She's gonna have a late reaction, like oh no, I knew that and I just made all those connections. 3 months later. But
before they do. So.
But before they, or at least before either of them are willing to like.
Move on it.
Yeah. I also want to say that, like, I was really apprehensive because we had Yaz kind of describing her family in the first. It was the first episode, right?
It was the first episode.
Second. It was the Ghost Monument. It was the second.
Okay. But I really love her family. Like, her sister's a brat, but like all siblings.
Yeah, it was in a very sisterly way.
Yeah, her mother is.
I like her.
A goat. Like, I need more.
And I like that she actually was like on the like adventure with them, because I think that's a different maybe not totally different because like there's Jackie, but Jackie was annoying.
She gave me Mrs. Jones vibes though.
She was like kind of middle. She was a little mix of all. Because I feel like she had that hesitance, like okay, I don't know who she is, but I trust my daughter enough to know that she's not gonna have us following like some craziness. So I felt like it was like that. Like, I'm hesitant, but my daughter trusts her, and my daughter is. Got good judgment and she's a cop and all this, so I think it was more like I'm down, but like I got my eye on her.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that about her.
And I also like that, like after the fact, when because she, while things are going down, her mom is like, "How do you know these people? What's going on?" And Yaz is like, "Mom, we can't really do this right now. There are giant spiders everywhere. Like we can have this conversation, but like not while we're trying to come up with a plan." And then there's that moment after where Yaz is like. Where she's about to leave, and her mom's like, "When you get back, we can talk about this." But it seemed less like Martha's mom, where Martha's mom was like, "When you get back, we're going to talk about why you need to stay away from the doctor."
Away from him, yeah.
It's more like I want to understand like how you know these people, how did this happen, whatever. But I feel like because she was on a mission or on the adventure and like saw the like wild, weird stuff that could happen and the way that the doctor handled it, I think that she at least has a different level of trust for the doctor that's closer to like the companions than it would be for someone who's just hearing about the doctor from I guess it was from the master, but like from someone who has bias.
A bias, yeah. I also want to say that I do really love that this week's monster or mystery or whatever was fully man-made.
That was the same thing I was thinking.
Okay, so like I mess with Jade and she was really great and super smart and it was good to have her, but I was like, why is this something that you're studying? Why are you trying to prolong the life of spiders?
It was weird. I think
it was learning how they prolong the life of a spider is how they're going to prolong the life of humans. It's
exactly. Like how we can apply
sure. Yeah. But like
we gotta make it make sense.
She grew up reading Peter Parker Spider-Man comics, and she was like, I'm going to do that.
Because I was really, when she was explaining it and like she was saying it like it was just like, yeah, it's such a harmless
like
thing.
Casual.
Like, you can't understand how this would go wrong, like even whether your intentions are pure or not, whatever. Like this is,
but it's a real thing that people do. Like sharks, they like they try to find because they heal different or something. Like let's go make us some fresh, nice new sharks that are a little bit better, like even just 20% better at healing. But like it's a shark. So, we could maybe not introduce more predators into the general population.
Become a tornado, then what?
The way she talked about it so casually was funny to me. Like, it's not that it was like weird, it wasn't wrong, but it was just like, you are very casual about this spider conversation. Like, oh yeah, like we the spiders, like, girl,
there would be no science fiction stories about crazy ass scientists. And so I am just of the notion, I was a little upset because she was a woman of color, because that negates my entire crazy. I have like a crazy white man science shirt.
No. Like, she has a boss though. Like, she's one of the fellows. There's about somebody above her, and that is a crazy white man for sure.
She's still doing it.
But she's like trying to get that whatever. I don't know what she get. PhD. She already has a PhD. I don't know. But the main thing is she's trying to get that, that paper.
Yeah.
Published. And she wants her name on that. So she's like, look, if we gotta, soup up these spiders. We gotta get them in like that, then we're gonna do that, because
we gotta get them super-sized spiders. That's what we're gonna
do.
But like the fact that I was just like, I don't understand like how you thought that just throwing the spiders. I mean, I know it's supposed to be like regular waste disposal, like, the professional kind, but I'm like, I feel like y'all should incinerate them or something. This don't seem
right.
Why are they being thrown away?
Yeah. Like, you gotta make sure they really dead first.
Yeah, like you gotta incinerator. That is biological matter. They gotta go in the furnace. Like, I'm not playing that game. I don't know.
Which just makes me really nervous about like the UK in general, because I feel like I don't know if someone was like in the writer's room, like, or, I mean, I know they don't really have a writer's room, but if they're like, don't we just burn biological material? And they're like, no, we throw it away. It makes sense. Right. We can do it. Or if someone just wrote that.
That's my thing. Like, I don't think it was thought about. Like, I think they were just like, it's fine. Because, toxic waste. Everybody knows the old adage, the toxic waste mutates something. But I'm like, but it shouldn't be nothing biological really in this waste, because, you're not supposed to throw it away. It's supposed to be destroyed. But okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah. Maybe that lab, they were cutting corners.
They were cutting a lot of corners. And I was just thinking like, ooh, the lawsuit. The lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like, there are clearly other
spiders. Not going to need a job because they're all going to be rolling in the dough.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
an apartment.
Yeah. At least the hotel wasn't like fully up
occupied and
because, yikes.
Like, yeah. Because like, if they're in a flat. No, because I think this. Like, if your neighbor gets any kind of infestation, the chance of you getting it are so high. So I'm like, the spiders we know about got to an apartment. That means it's probably some more than big old spiders out in these trees.
Exactly.
And they're not going to be like, they didn't get caught in the whatever. So I'm like,
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was like I mean, I guess the thing is this: if the mom dies and then the majority of them die, and then there's no more toxic waste for them to feed off of,
and then you like roll around town with
mutated.
You just roll around town with the ice cream truck blasting Stormzy, and then you just round them up that way, and then get the
also
little.
Shout out to Grime getting a
that one, I like that.
No, for real.
I like that for really Ryan, because I like that like, I don't, I like that it affirms his blackness in a way. Like, you get, I'm thinking like, okay, they're going to maybe have him a little softcore black where he's not very, but he was like, I got it. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's what I would do. Like, I'm feeling like that. Which,
I was just hoping, I was like, can we get some King Drees?
Oh, God.
Get some of that?
I just knew, like, if Man's Not Hot would have popped up, like, just, like, that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, oh my God, like, that would be hilarious.
I wouldn't have been on this podcast episode if that had happened, though.
I needed King Drees. I was like, okay, the next song. But I don't think no one, not even the British, are on that.
No.
They're just like, can you please go be James Bond and stop dropping tracks? We see Yaz's family, and I think that, like, we get a good glimpse at, like, the personalities of her dad, who's conspiracy theorist but lovable and makes really bad pakora. And her mom is, like, a hard worker and comes to work to get, like, extra stuff done and is kind of, overbearing, but not too much. And it comes from a place of love. And then her sister's like a little sister. But we also get Graham going back home.
Yes.
And seeing Grace.
They had to do it. They had to do it.
They had to do it. She was like a spirit memory.
Yeah. Which is like a thing that's been done in other like
it's like not
stories before. Yeah, it's not like it was hard for me because I was like, I do think that it's important to show Graham and Ryan dealing with their grief as it goes, as it pertains to Grace. I think my main issue is that it just Grace shouldn't be dead. Like, so it's really hard for me to feel the like empathy for him and to like really be in it. And what's it? Bradley Walsh, like he's doing a good job of like, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing fine, but like, it's still really hard for me to watch it because I'm just like, this just shouldn't be the case. And then it just furthers her, like his only storyline is attached to like her death. And it still feels gross to me. On top of the fact that like we really are only getting this with Graham, like we're not getting to see Ryan's grief and obviously like grief is different for different people. So, but I don't feel like it's being, honestly, when Graham was like, I'm going to go home and Ryan is like, oh, should I have gone with him? Or like, should I go with you? It felt more like, I know you're going through a thing and not necessarily like I'm going through a thing. You know?
And that was the thing that I did clock and I did not like because it kind of, and I know that I don't know, but I feel like they're not trying to do this, but it does feel like they're minimizing Ryan's relationship with Grace to maximize Graham's relationship with her.
Yeah, it's like they're prioritizing his grief over Ryan's grief, but that like... Yeah. I think it's a more core part of his character than it is for Ryan.
Because there's no other reason for him to be there.
Right. So it's like they have to show us and give us like these, you know, like very visceral things to refer to like, okay, he's really, really in the grief, and that's what's gonna push him to go to the TARDIS or whatever. Whereas with Ryan, it's like he's young enough, and you see, he likes to touch everything. Like he would already, in a lot of ways, want to be involved, and he wouldn't necessarily need that push of like, I want to get away from something. Whereas Graham is like, he would definitely not do this if he didn't want to kind of escape this grief, and so they have to like, okay, here it is. This is what he's trying to avoid. Whereas with Ryan, it's more like, he would come
would you not? Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what the problem is.
Right. But I think that it's weird though, because then it only allows Ryan to have grief like within the scope of, and there's a moment where like Graham is trying to talk to him in the second episode, but like within this, and like he does get to think about his grandmother in Rosa, but it's more of a like he's able to think back on her and smile, which is great, but like it's still too soon because she just died, right? So you only get the scope of his grief really within the first episode, at the beginning and the end when you see his YouTube video.
That's the thing. It's like
so it's like really, it's weird to me that like we don't get that when that's like there's a moment where when he's talking to the doctor and he's like, should I have gone? And the doctor's like, I don't know. I don't really know Graham that much. And he's like, yeah, I don't really either.
Right.
So like Graham has not been a part, or not to discount like Graham and Grace's like, you know, their love or whatever, but like they haven't been a part of each other's lives for that long. Whereas like, at least it seems like Grace has been a really huge part of Ryan's life.
She raised him, it seems like.
She raised him because his mother passed away, his father ain't shit. So like, I mean,
the dad, like I'm ready to throw hands at him. Like
already, right?
Like I hope they don't show him because I got enough anger in me. Like, but it's like Graham is clearly like very new in this, like him and Grace for 3 years, and I think that was 3 years. She said they met 3 years ago, I think, not even got married 3 years ago. Right. So like it's really new, and like Ryan would have been around her his whole life anyway, but especially after his mom died, like that was who his person is. So like you can't say who would grieve more, but that's a parent, that's a parental figure. Like you would think it would have more impact on him just based on that fact alone.
It's also not just like a parent and a parental figure, but it's also like one of the, like, so his mom's gone and now Grace is gone. And so it's really like, I'm about to be alone in this world, like an orphan type of situation where like, I can't imagine just losing a parent in general, but then to go through that, like I'm kind of going through this with like my grandparents' generation where like my great aunts and great uncles are leaving and dying, and it's like, oh, this is the last, like, then there's no one left to tie me to my family, or, you know, like, and that is an additional, I think, grieving thing.
The last one of like that kind of the core family,
right?
And it's clearly he doesn't have the same relationship with the other side. I can't say. I guess that is on his dad's side. It's like you losing people that it's not just his family, but it's like clearly they had a relationship where it was like a lot of support there, and so you losing like that support system and that thing that you always could kind of rely on. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like with Graham, it's more like, I was older. I never thought I would find love, and then I found her, and she brought, she kept me alive and all happy, and that's fine, that's good. But that wouldn't be a stronger emotional reaction than a person who lost like one of the closest people in their life that they've known for their whole life. Like, exactly. So yeah, I would like to see Ryan have an opportunity to really grieve and to like have that be a present part of not necessarily the whole like the rest of the season, obviously, but like to have him have a moment where you can really see his grief and understand it, and then not be like a passing comment.
Right. Well, I think too that's another issue with the reason why Grace should never have died. But also the having that be the tie between Ryan and Graham is that you're always going to end up comparing their griefs, and who misses her more, right? Because the only thing that they have keeping them together was her.
Yeah.
And so the only reason they're traveling together was her, and they happen to be at the same place at the same time because of her. Mm-hmm. So no matter what, if we get an episode where we deal actually with Ryan's grief, we're all going to be looking at Graham like, what you doing? And the vice versa. You know what I mean? I don't know that you can get it. And that's a hole that they wrote themselves into that they didn't need to, because
it was so unnecessary.
I don't think you can get.
It's so unnecessary.
It's unnecessary.
It's like the one thing, because I love the season so much so far, and I feel like and even this episode was so good. And like honestly, the whole time, like I was having this thing, just like back to our Moffat rant, where I was just like, are we really getting like these well-rounded characters? Like even Graham, who I like still do not like, and like and mostly because of like he doesn't really have to be there. So even with that, I still feel like what they are writing for his storyline makes sense and is consistent, and like the acting is good, and he's a fully grounded and like realized character.
Fully realized,
and so it's really frustrating because the like one flaw, or like the one like big flaw of the season so far, is something that happened in episode 1, and it's just, and it's going to like they're not going to get rid
that's
of
the thing about it.
The train is already moving.
Through line, and that's that I think makes it worse. Because like if there was a thing that I don't know, it's like it's such a big part of why they are there that it's like you can't ignore it. Like, okay, we know Graham is here for this reason. We know Ryan is here partially for this reason. So it's like, I can't forget about it. No matter how much I enjoy it, it's like, but Grace would have, Grace would have loved this episode. She would have been out here with an axe or something, coming at these fighters, like, it, just from what that little time we had with her, like, she would have been in it. And so, like, in your back of your mind, like, but Grace, though, she would have, like, or in Rosa, like, oh, Grace? She'd be in jail because she would have, you know what I mean? Like, you can think
she's going to be a constant presence in every decision that they make, and they won't be able to.
Exactly. But it's like, but I'd rather
it to themselves.
Her than be, what she would have done. Oh, Grace would have did this and Grace would have did that. I would have rather you just have not killed her, and then we could have saw what she would have did, because there was, we had 3. We might as well have 4 companions if we're going to be wilding out. Like, it's a new start. If you wanted to, like, if you want to switch it up, I think a black woman grandma is as entertaining as an old white man. We didn't see variations of.
We've had so many old white dudes on the show. We don't need more. Like, especially because we got another white dude in this show anyway. Like, we're going to get them. So then why does there have to be, like, just every time it's going to keep coming up for me and being annoying. Yeah. Even when they do things that are not like bad with his character. Because it's just like, it doesn't have to be like, this could totally be Grace's storyline, or like, just don't introduce Grace to us. Like, there's no, like,
that was my thing.
You give it to us and then you just take it right away.
Really, the thing is, like, somebody conceived this character and made her like very good. Like, that this is the type of person that people are gonna gravitate to just based on everything that she's doing. And you're like, okay, I got him though. I got him. And then I was like, why would you, like, Graham would probably be we would probably like Graham at this point without that added thing of like having to compare him to Grace. Like, by himself, I have nothing to compare him to. So I'm like, oh, he's just a fun little old man, whatever. So, like, knowing what we could have had, which would have been a person I think and generally would have been immensely more entertaining to have on the Tartan just based on how she reacts to situations. So it's like the fact that y'all thought, let me just tease a little like what we could have did and then go a different route. It's like, I don't know who was in that meeting. I really don't. Because I feel like they weren't, somebody didn't say what should have been said. Like, but why would people like Graham more than Grace? Like,
it doesn't make sense.
Like, it doesn't. That's the thing about it. It's like, so I have to be reminded of it the whole season because y'all want to play.
I think too, the other thing about, and this is like my last thing about it, is you can always see in the casting of Doctor Who, like the Doctor is this like fantastical person, and the companion is the stand-in, but also, especially with early New Who, and I'm not well up on Classic Who, but I from what I've seen, a lot of Classic Who, the Doctor gets to be this hero, and then the companion is also this young, ingenue, cute, eye candy girl. Mm-hmm. So that for the viewers, for the like male viewers, especially the first couple seasons of New Who, they get to be the cool, suave Doctor.
They get to through the Doctor's lens.
Yeah, of like, look at me, like impressing, like gallivanting around the world and impressing this young, like cute girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then even when we have had like Rory or Mickey, it's like the everyday guy, but it's still like the, whatever. And so now as we're becoming more like, women have agency, we get like more fierce women. We get, Amy and Donna and Bill, and even Clara had a lot of very badass moments, but like there's always this, like, I can see in the writing, they're like, who is the audience stand-in, right? Mm-hmm. And so I feel like what they did, especially with Nardole and now with Graham, is like, okay, well, we don't have a white male audience stand-in, but what I'm like really big on, making white men, especially given the week that we've had in America, fuck white men, make them stand in, like make them feel empathy for other people and live and like recognize and
exactly.
And like we've had to relate to their stories forever. They need to relate to ours. Right. But also it's based in the UK, like you said, and like just the way the world works, they're going to run into a bunch of white dudes. Like they don't have to always, they don't have to be on this TARDIS.
Right.
Are white presenting generally. Mm-hmm. So it's like we're gonna see that perspective represented. We don't really need it to be represented every single week with the character that's going along because it's everywhere else. Like, so having that small little space where it's like, okay, I have to look through this person's eyes who is not what I would consider myself. And it's like they push it just far enough. Like, okay, we got a woman doctor, so that's good. We have a brown person, we have a black person, but now we need somebody who, the older fans are going to be able to see themselves as. But it's like, if you're watching the show for whatever many years, I mean, like, you've had enough of that.
And at this point, you've been like primed to accept change because that's like
that's the show.
About. So you should just be like, all right, cool, yeah, great.
It's changed.
You're doing some getting used to, and then you just roll with it.
This is kind of what like even the Star Wars franchise is going through and things like that. Like at a certain point, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
If they're not willing to accept the change or whatever.
Because if anything, like if you lose them as an audience, which honestly you're not, because like
they don't have nothing else.
White people don't know how to boycott shit, so there's like that.
They do. I mean, like they don't buy the Blu-rays and like set them on fire. Like I can't.
Right. Exactly. They're gonna like re-up their Amazon subscription account and like subscribe to everything and buy the shit and then be like, I'm gonna
and then go on Twitter
my files. Like, no. Like, you already gave them the damn money.
Like, literally.
So for one, you're not going to lose those numbers, and then even if you do, you're going to gain them in other demographics who it will matter to more.
Yeah, and they'll come and like if you write good, and this is the other thing, if you write good stories, which they're doing, like people will come. And like they did this whole push this season is like they want new people. They want fresh like eyes. They want a new audience. They want Bayana to like watch the show so that Aminata can watch it, and Aminata will then spend the next 30 years of her life loving and watching Who. And like that is possible without also like you don't have to hold like both of those things in your hands at once. Like, well, we want to like appeal to all these new people, but also we don't want to alienate anyone. It's like the best way to not alienate people is to tell authentic stories, but
exactly.
that doesn't mean that you have to shoehorn in someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I will give them the benefit that Graham is 10,000. He's not Nardole.
He's not Nardole, man.
He's like not bad, and it's really, I can say that like he's not bad. Like and generally, I would probably like him as like for what he is if I didn't have something to compare him against.
But like also if we didn't just have Nardole.
Yeah.
Like, if Nardole hadn't been in the last season and it wasn't so glaringly obvious that Graham is there because he's a white man, like I could potentially be like, okay, fine.
Yeah, I would like, it's paired with Nardole having like been in the last season for no reason. Oh, and then also with the idea that like once the Doctor regenerates into a woman, now we need another white dude on the TARDIS, which is like
that's my thing. That's what I don't like.
It's like you have to. It's like
right.
No, I need you to just like hold your audience members in higher esteem, and also like not give a fuck about the bigots.
Right, and I think too that's like a big thing that we're seeing with media and like this is a problem with just like the bigger and bigger media properties is that they don't respect the audience in the same way. Like they write for the dumbest, lowest denominator.
Yes, exactly. Like they assume the majority of people are here for one thing when it's like the people that have a problem are actually probably a very vocal, but they are a minority. They are not
very
the
loud,
larger audience. And it's like if you write to them, then guess what? They're gonna keep talking. Yeah. So as long as you keep giving them just a little bit of what they want, and they feel like, okay, well, you can dictate how a property is going to go because you gonna like if we appease that, then you just give them that sense of entitlement, like. Oh, we get to have this, and to the point where, like, you can't move a story forward or move a show forward or a movie, whatever, because everybody has their expectation now because you've given them what they wanted consistently. So it's like, you have to be like, look, y'all ain't getting the Graham. Y'all not getting the white male insert in this season. Y'all gonna get this black boy. Y'all gonna get this brown girl. Y'all gonna get this white woman, but you're not gonna get the white guy, and you're not gonna get that person. And then it's like, most people gonna deal with it. Like, okay, I guess I'm not gonna. I like this. I'm not gonna stop watching.
Yeah, and then like the small majority will be loud, and then you see from there all of the people that rise up to shut them up.
Exactly.
Because there's gonna be more of those people, and you just ignore the trolls.
Yeah,
leave them in the dungeon. Yeah, that was my rant, but we should keep going on.
For sure. We've talked about the spiders a bit and like how like it was just science gone wrong.
Yeah. I will say it's really funny because we join our Slack. We have a Slack, but when I finally watched the show and I got into the Slack thread about the episode and everyone was like, Robyn's gonna hate this. Which, yes, like on paper, I should have really hated this episode. Also, the second episode, the first episode, I should have hated a lot more as well. But I'm noticing what wonders like brightness and light can do.
Mm-hmm. Just a warm color palette,
Right. But also just being able to see.
Yeah.
Just being able to see. Yeah. Which vision is not my strong suit. But like if you make everything super dark, I can't see what's coming around the corner, so I'm more tense and scared than like being able to see the big ass
like unnecessarily spider. Just for no reason. It's like making it more scary than it needs to be for the story that they're trying to tell.
Right, and so I feel like these stories have been creepy and scary when they want to be, and like I'm not saying that there weren't moments of like I was pacing around my room and pausing the TV and turning it off and doing other things, which Bayana hates watching Who with me because I will legit go into the kitchen while it's on and like make a sandwich. I'm listening, but I can't watch this. So like there were moments that I did like stand up and walk around, but like it was not nearly as bad as some of the worse written scary episodes. Like I think that like there are episodes in like even like the pilot, which is the first episode of last season. I don't think that was actually as scary or well written as this one was. But it was so dark, and there were a lot of like jump cuts, things that are like there to make you jump. That I was more uncomfortable throughout that episode. Whereas when I sit down and like think about this episode, I do get creeped out and like I'm already just ready for my nightmare of big ass spiders. And I know that I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night like trying to breathe, thinking I'm in a spider web cocoon. But I was able to actually watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think also like this, so far they're doing a good job of like a better job, I think, of balancing the humor and the like character development with the monster of the week, you know, like, because I feel like I laughed out loud more than a few times, even when like spider shit was happening. I like went back because there was that moment where they're in the kitchen and they're talking about like, oh, the spiders could be like a assassination attempt.
That is hilarious.
Like, no, why would they make giant spiders when they could just put a little spider in the pillow and it'll like a poisonous one?
That
and
was
Ryan
my favorite
shudders.
line.
And Ryan is like, ooh. I just like started laughing. I was
and
like, yes,
the Russians did it.
That is literally like one of my favorite lines. I'm just like it's so many funny little moments throughout. Like, but yeah, when they're at kitchen, they was just back and forth. Like the whole Ed Sheeran thing had me dying because I'm just like, how is this your reference point for like the most popular, like the most well-known person on earth? In her mind, it's like, oh, Ed Sheeran. And I'm like, what context does that exist?
Well, I love because she was also like, my favorite thing too was that she was on some like, he's big right about now, right? Like this is the time. When
like, that's my thing. But like, but when is that? Is it the future? You know, for us, wait a minute, or did we pass that?
No, Ed Sheeran, he was on Game of Thrones. This is Ed Sheeran's moment. What are you talking about?
It was weird.
Ed Sheeran is white people's Beyonce.
Oh my God.
What are you talking about?
Though. I do. I was like, Ed Sheeran, it's understandable, but like,
yeah, but I mean, like, all this to say that like it offered a reprieve for the moments where like there's the really creepy sound in the other like the spider on the other side of the wall, or like they're dragging the thing, and you're like, gee, like you're just like, nope. Like there were so many times where I was just like, nope. In my notes, my notes often said like yuck, 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 yuck. No,
my notes are literally are like deep or no or like okay for real. Like even that first one, because I don't know, like I must have like wiped it out of my mind or something. Because when I rewatched it, because I was like, I don't think I was paying attention enough, and I'm like, I don't even remember it being that big. I was like, oh, it wasn't that big. My mind was like, yeah, it was like normal size. I don't know what my mind was doing.
I think it's because you saw the mama one, and then everything in comparison.
So like,
that was fine. That was normal.
And so I'm just like, it was just like bothering me, but like it was so much. Every time it would get to like a point where you're like, okay, if I see another spider, I'm gonna lose it, and then it would be a moment of like,
and then they would have a joke.
They kind of pull you back from it. So it's like I like how they play with like, okay, I'm gonna creep you out, but then I'm gonna just let you off the hook, so you're not just tense the whole way through. Because they literally did it like back to back. It's like big on spider, and it's like a little joke. It's like big on spider, bigger spider, another little joke, and then you like, okay, if I see one more, do you see the whole hallway of spiders?
Every time they climb on the ceilings, or like the floor.
When Graham said, did you check the ceiling?
That whole thing with Ryan
did none of y'all check the ceiling? That was fucked it up.
We're like trying to trap one. I was like, I was dying. I had to give Graham that. I was dying because he was like, all right, mate, look, I ain't the one. Like, you mind your business. And then the spider kept coming. You know, then Ryan called him, and I'm like, okay, that's cute. Then,
you said you took your time, didn't you?
But then, like, when they showed, you know, like the whole hallway, I'm like, oh no.
And
like,
that's about to have that like real like heart-to-heart moment,
and then he said,
like,
did you check the ceiling?
I was like, wait, no.
I didn't know that.
Do you know what I did? I walked up and walked out. I was like,
if you look at his face,
checking the ceiling.
The whole time, like, Ryan is talking in that moment, he was, like, distracted. So my thing is, like, he already was waiting, but he, like, I need a minute. Like, I need him to, like, I don't want to mess up his flow because he's been, you know, he's feeling it.
Finally talking.
But also, you can see his face, like, okay. And then he's like, after he said, you know, whatever, you know, that proper family thing, which I'm like, okay, y'all getting too close to the grandpa thing. I'm not going to have it. But, like, as soon as he said it, he's like, okay, I'll let him get that out. So, the ceiling. And I thought that was, if you look at, because when I watched it the second time, I'm, like, really in that conversation. I'm like, let me make sure I'm hearing everything right. And then Grant's face is just like, So I think the whole time he's thinking, like, I need to broach the subject, but I don't want to break up this moment we have. And so I'm going to wait till he kind of concludes this thought before. Because then as soon as he's out, he's like, yeah, right. Okay, so that ceiling situation, And that was hilarious.
That was a big ass spider.
And I love that spider was just like, it's
he
like,
said
I feel
it
like
was the size of a van. I was like, a bus.
Yeah, I was like, it had to be. I was like, what van do they be looking at?
That's a 10-car BART right there.
I was just like, thank you. Like, what if he just dropped on him just to be petty? Like, I was just thinking, like, that would be it. Like, he ain't even got to do no spider stuff. He literally could just fall on him, maybe a wrap. Like, he was that big. I was like, yeah, y'all gotta. I'm like, and then I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, Graham is so old. Like, what is his heart? like, he already grieving. He's stressed. Like, I'm like, man, 1-2 more fighters. It's a wrap on Graham.
He's not gonna make it.
No,
he's not gonna make it.
That's it.
But that's what's good about this episode is that it's actually hilarious in a lot of ways, and then it's also creepy, and it doesn't like. The hilarity doesn't take away from the creepiness, and it doesn't like go lean too heavy one way or another. You just end up enjoying it, despite the fact that you are very personally attacked by it. Like, yeah. I had to cut my lights on because, like, the way my fan, I feel like it makes like a little design on the wall, and I'm like, what is that? What is that on that wall? Oh, that's okay, cool. So I'm like, let me cut the lights on because I'm just gonna be jumping the whole time because y'all got me.
I mean, and when they were, and I was having like mad like Lord of the Rings PTSD when they went down into the thing, and then they're like hanging up by the little. I was like, is this Shalab's lair? Like, why are we here? I didn't ask to be here, and that used to give me nightmares as a child. So I was just like, This is Doctor Who.
This is too much.
I come here to be happy. Why are we doing this?
And like when she puts her face into the tub, and I'm like, okay, girl,
calm down on that.
Why did you do this?
Why are you doing that?
Your face. I was like, girl, this ain't the way. But
that was some Harry Potter pensive.
Yeah, I was like, y'all got to cool. Like they kept getting bigger, and I'm sitting here like, y'all just gonna keep going, huh? Like we ain't gonna never get a break. Like these suckers are getting bigger and bigger, and y'all are just chilling in this hotel.
What were your thoughts on I guess he was technically the villain, on Jack Robertson?
Oh, I thought that Detective Mike Logan was hilarious.
I thought
he was weird in all of the best places. Like when he was washing his hands, I was like, weird. Yeah. And I think, and then when they started to make like the Trump comparison, I was like, okay, I kind of get what they were doing.
But they were like, it was really low key heavy handed. Actually,
it was
like,
it was like
I said low key heavy handed because they brought up Trump just to be like, we're not trying to like put him as a placeholder for Trump, but at the same time, he literally is a placeholder for Trump in like every way. Like even if you notice, because I've seen this actor and other things, like the way he enunciates things. Yeah, he's like, you're fired. Like he does things in a way that is very Trumpian. So it's like, y'all ain't slick trying to play. And then of course they lean very heavy into America's stupid because with the guns. And I'm like, I can't even argue. I can't even bring this up as a point. Like, can y'all stop? Because like, have you looked at the news today? Like, So I thought it was hilarious that he really like they did it just enough. Like. They pulled back a little bit. They didn't go too far. Like, they would give him a little bit of a 10, it would have been a wrap. It would have been over. It wouldn't have been no ifs, ands, or buts. But I like how they did it just enough and that it's like, clearly this is that, he represents that same type of person. But he, played it very hilariously, especially like, you may be the only person on the earth that doesn't know who I am. Like, he really leaned into it. And I'm just like, he's like a funny, smarmy, like, villain that is not, like, I don't know, like, you don't take him seriously, like. Yeah.
And what I just realized, like, as y'all were talking, like, the last 3 episodes have all had, like, white dudes doing the, like, most. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like, in the Ghost Monument, it was, technically he wasn't human, he was whatever, Albarian, I don't remember, but like he's all white, like presenting. My mom, my mom, he let me fall out of the sky one time and she was great. Like that's when I was a kid, hilarious though, and it made me stronger. And like it was like, if you don't,
my mom said she would catch me,
get a hug.
But you know what? She did it. Right? I'm like, that's your fault. I ain't gonna know me.
You stop telling us about your child abuse. I did.
Plus, Krasko and then all the other white dudes in Rosa, right? And then this dude too. It's like at least we're getting some while we're not getting like new, other than the Stenza, we haven't gotten like a new alien thing, but like,
or like an overt.
Yeah, but it seems like to be a running kind of like commentary, at least so far.
I peeped that too, especially with this episode, because I'm just like, it's making fun of. I think that like sometimes white people y'all do the most and can't always be trusted, but like in a way that is accessible and approachable to people who don't necessarily, that's not their default thought. Because I just watched Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, and I'm like, that should be a very entertaining episode. But it's like the fact that it's black people that changes it completely. And I'm like, I know for a fact the writers don't have no thought about that. They didn't think about it at all. But for me, as a black person, of course, the black guys are salvaging stuff and they stealing everything out the TARDIS and wilding out. Of course it'll be the black guys. You know what I mean? And so I think this kind of goes the other way, where it's like every time something going on, it's a white or white presenting person just consistently being on that mess. Yeah, and I think I thought that was deliberate too, especially with this episode, just showing that they don't have, showing different, variety of the mess.
Yeah, I think it kind of like I think it also kind of interrogates or kind of like plays with the kind of like white male characters that we're usually forced to identify with, or like or champion, or be, or like see their stories, and then in these particular moments where just everybody's like, y'all, you need to chill. Like, did you write that down? You practice?
Yeah, and actually, it kind of enforces, or like it puts in this episode, like the people of color are the people who are are on the right side of the story, like not like Nadja.
But also they're the most knowledgeable ones too. It's not just like they're on the right; they're the experts. Like
they're the ones that have the most logical approach to everything that's happening. They're the ones
and the credentials. Like, why are we listening to you? Because you have money. Like, she has a PhD in spiders.
Right. Like, she knows about spiders. Nadja has been up and down this hotel,
building plan, and knows where to go and where to
Exactly.
I also, I don't know how famous Chris Noth is in the UK, and I don't know how big. I never watched The Good Wife, but I know that he played a smarmy, gross politician in The Good Wife, which was more of a Bill Clinton character, from what I gather, than a Trump character. But I did like he looked the type, like the Chris Noth type of character that you would cast him for, but then it was like a little bit like he was weird and goofy and like wasn't as smart and like wasn't as like self-possessed as you thought he should be. And I also like the way that his like insecurities and stuff like turned him into an asshole. Like, all of that came from a place of like he's running for president because he doesn't like Trump, and it's very petty, like a very petty reason to run for president. He is scared of spiders, and so that's why he's like shoot them all. It doesn't come from a place of like he thinks he's being logical, and this is I think what was a really good commentary on society right now is he thinks that it's a logical response, but it's an emotional and response a reaction out of fear. But he is dictating to other people obviously this is the only way to go about these things, and obviously I'm in charge and I'm in control and I know better, and they're all looking at him no.
It doesn't even and he makes choices that don't even make sense. Nobody's on his side in that situation, and that's how you know he's coming from a place of complete he's disconnected from what's happening. Okay, this is the big one at the end. It's this one is dying. Everybody can see the spider can't even get up the wall, and he just has to that's the only way he feels like he has any control over that situation. Even though he ain't doing nothing, because we already know that the spider's about to die. But he's I gotta kill it. I gotta shoot it. This is the only way. This is the this has to be done this way. And I think that was more about him than it was about, anything else, because nobody else we were all fine. We're chilling. We see he dying. We gonna let the spider die, a nice, dignified spider death. And then we gonna, I guess, haul it out somehow. I don't know what the plan was there, but the fact that he felt so he had to shoot it. It was the only way he could assert his control in that situation. I have to do it. And I think that is a commentary on just how people, they use certain, some people like guns. They feel I gotta have a gun. That's how they feel they have control over a situation, or they feel money gives them control over a situation. At the end of the day, it's none of that actually gives you any expertise. It doesn't give you control. It doesn't really give you any leg up in this situation, because you can't pay the spider. He's not going to go away for that. You know what I mean? Like, nothing that you use as your power in everyday life is going to have any benefit in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay, thoughts on Team TARDIS when the Doctor's friends finally decide that they are going to travel with her?
Was it just me, or did you think that they kind of all talked about it and then went to knock on her door?
That's what I thought. I thought like when they were like, oh, we're gonna go say goodbye, and I feel like maybe they were walking in, at least because Graham felt to me like when he left, it felt to me like he had already had it in his mind. Like I would actually personally like to stay with her. Yeah. So maybe when he goes out the door, I don't know, maybe Ryan's waiting for him out the door or already walking or whatever the situation is. It's like, okay, what you think about?
Yeah, because it felt like when Yaz said goodbye, she was saying goodbye to her family. Like, I'll see you in a minute, but I'm going.
Right. She was on some, I'll go pick up the bread or whatever, but she was like, I'm going to be
the
like,
money and everything.
She'll remember when she gets back. She doesn't just like come back a half an hour later and they're like, whoa.
The bread? And how did you get new clothes? What's going on here?
I think like Graham, it very specifically looked like his face was like, my mind is made up. But Ryan had already left. I'm like, maybe he called Ryan. Maybe they did a 3-way call or texted. Like, okay, so I'm thinking I would like to stay. They definitely came and they were ready. Like when they got there, they had already said goodbye. They already had they had already changed their voicemail box. Like I am unavailable. Like it seemed very clear that it was already a decision that they had all made together. So then, of course, when they knock and the TARDIS was like, "Come on, boo," and I thought that was cute. Like it was just like. The TARDIS seemed like it knew already that, okay, here go the people. They coming.
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely think they did.
Yeah, and we, like, talked about this a little bit already, but, like, I just like that the Doctor was very much on some, like, I want y'all to be sure that this is the decision you want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that she, like, asked, like, I want to say 3 times. Like, sure. Like, so I cannot promise you're going to be safe. And they're like,
honestly,
we know.
I think it was a Bill thing, which is, like, still makes me mad, so I don't like to think about it, but I do think that, like, that was the most violent end, at least to me, of a companion.
I thought it was.
And so, and even whatever, however they corrected it, and, you know, she goes clubbing now.
But they don't, technically.
But the point is, like, the Doctor has this moment where he gets really reckless and isn't really looking out for his companions the way that he should be, and then that happens. And then I think that on top of, like, ending up in 1955 Montgomery, Alabama, and, like, so then having to be like, yo, like, I really cannot, like, I will try my hardest, but I can't save you, and I need you to know that this is potentially dangerous, as opposed to being like the lost moon of Poosh, and, like, the first
like,
cliff face ever in the universe, like.
The few times that the other, like, I would say 11 said it, I'm gonna say very many episodes too late. And I'm like, I mean, they've already kind of survived a good amount of times before you say, you know, I can't promise your safety. Like, I mean, that's a given at this point. So the fact that was the first thing, like, I cannot, you've already experienced it to an extent. Like, I can't protect you completely. I can only, you know, do my best. And so I think that being kind of upfront before they start to, you know, to actively choosing to travel was a big thing. And
it also like gets rid of, or doesn't fully get rid of, because the Doctor is always going to be this, like, fantastical, like, amazing person, but it gets rid of that, like,
the Doctor will fix everything.
Like the worship part of it, you know, because that part has always been like a little gross to me. Like every time they're like, "Oh, the Doctor's got it," and like some of that is fine, but then like the way that that Rose kind of interacts, the way with like
Amy, I would say, is maybe the most Rose and Amy specific. Are the main
two.
Really, I thought Clara did a lot of that too, where it was just like, I mean, a lot of it came from Clara thought she was the Doctor as well.
Yeah, that's different. Clara got to, the Doctor will handle it, to I'll handle it, and girl, no.
Clara got but Amy, I think was the most like,
he's my imaginary friend. Like he's with the madman with magical, the boxes, gonna fix everything. He's magic. He'll, you know, like in the God complex, like that was her faith or whatever, was the Doctor. Like the faith that he will always be there. Like all of that was like, homeboy should have stopped.
Really, that wasn't the Doctor. That was Rory.
No, Rory didn't even have a faith.
No,
technically, like he wasn't even being targeted. It was Amy, because literally I was Amy. But the thing was, her fear and her faith were the same thing technically, because her fear was her, you know, waiting for the Doctor. But her faith is that the doctor is going to come.
Complex?
So with the Minotaur and the
yeah, about the Minotaur.
Oh.
But
that's what threw me off with Amy.
Yeah. So I think that it definitely takes that pressure off of like, and they take away the doctor as God, basically. I mean, they
like humanizes her a little bit. Yeah. Like
I think that is something that's important to dissuade them from, but I also wonder, because it's one of those things where like I feel like it needs to be consistently said, because I hope that there's not just like, oh, she said it that one time, and so that every time they're like, the doctor isn't going to save us all the time, because I do think that like she's going to save them a lot of times, and they're gonna let their guard down.
Yeah.
Or at least I would hope so, because that's more.
But I also think that they've already set up that like each of them has their own specific set of skills and skill sets that they bring to the table, and they've done that. I know I said that and I sound like Liam Neeson, but they have that. They each have something that they bring to the table, which then allows for them to kind of like help in ways that's a little bit, especially because there's more of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there are a lot of moments where it's like all of them, right? Like in the last episode, Ryan is the one who saved the day, so like all of them kind of have moments and have ways that they can contribute to the situation. You know, so it might not all, like while the doctor at the end of the day is, you know, it's Doctor Who, and like she will be the person who is
that's
like
the plan and
and all that stuff. But like they all will, at least so far, it seems like they all have a role to play as opposed to just having to be saved or having to follow instructions.
Speaking of like how many of them there were, I really loved that scene of them all coming down the staircase. And at one point I was like, how did they get so many of them? Because it was Nadia and the scientist and Graham and Yaz and Ryan and the doctor. And I was like, when did we get 6 people? Like, that's a lot of people to be dealing with spiders right now.
Yeah.
And as I said, I've been recently like going through seasons 5, 6, and 7. And in season 6, a lot. And in season 7, like mostly in season 6, he's like, I'm rolling with the crew. And it's this like, he's going to Egypt to pick up Nefertiti and then pick up some big game hunter. And then there's like all of these people. And like there's the Silurian and Ginny and the Santaran, whose name I can't remember, and they're all like, he's like going around space and time to pick up these random people to like help them with this big adventure. And I really did like that it was like, no, these are just the people that I have like in this time period right now
just random
that are here to help, and like this is the current gang right now, and it made a lot more sense. And they get to have that slow motion shot of the doctor leading her troops into battle without it being like, but did you really have to go across space and time when like Amy has been abducted for months? Like
that I really cannot understand the logic to having him collect everybody at the end of the pregnancy. Like, you could have did this 5 months ago and maybe, you know, but whatever. I digress. But yeah, I do like the gang aspect. Like that is enough of them that everybody kind of can take point on something. And I feel like they've already shown that like the doctor is obviously going to be the way that they get out of the situations. I mean, like they even on different planets. They're not going to just build a spaceship and get out. You know what I mean? Like obviously they need the doctor, but like there's a lot of things where like Ryan, I would use because he's done it in every episode, had like a moment like with the music. Like they're like, we need vibrations, and everybody, you know, he's like, oh, I got this immediately. He's like, oh, I got it.
He was like, Yaz, you know what's up, and Yaz was like, I don't know what's up.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
But like, in his mind, that clicked immediately. I never felt
more connected to a character than I did to Yaz at that moment. It's like, no, I don't.
Like no. And that's my thing. Is like everybody has their, like you know that they'll be fine without the doctor to, you know, obviously to an extent. Like I like that everybody is they seem very capable. Like even Graham, who gets on my nerve, reasons we've discussed. But like you notice that like he'll say the thing that I think, and that's the weird thing about it, because he actually is kind of the closest to the audience insert in terms of his behavior. Because like in situations, it seems like why are you probing me? Like that whole thing with the why is that? Like that's the same thought I had like right before he said it. So I'm like, okay. I'm not going to try to, you know, I don't want to be like Graham in this situation, but I am Graham in this situation. Like,
that was bothering me, and they're going to need to stop. They're going to need to stop having him.
Because Ryan touches things.
Agree with Graham.
Yeah, like Ryan is very touchy, and I'm, you know, I'm black. We don't play with demons. We don't play with none of that. We see something weird, we like, hallelujah, I'm out. Let me get my bag. And like, so it's interesting because like, actually he is the person who like, I would probably act most like I'm down with this. I'm with y'all, but I'm not about to actively.
I'm not touching shit.
But Ryan is the one that's very like tactile. Like I'll build something, or I'll fix something, or I'll do something like that. And Yaz is always the one that's like, okay, wait, let me think. If we do this, and I feel like she's gonna get more chances to like show that because even her family makes it seem like, oh, she's serious. She doesn't really have a lot of friends. She goes to work, and that's kind of her thing. So I feel like the show is gonna show like how that ends up being like a benefit to the group, because the doctor is still very like, I'm flying by the wind. I'm just gonna let it be what it is. But Yaz being like observer, like, okay, but I have an idea that you know what I mean? Like I kind of feel like they setting that up for that to be kind of her thing.
She definitely did give me more Martha vibes when we saw her family and they were like, you have friends, you have a life, you have you're doing things.
Everybody sit down.
Right?
Yeah, she was like, I get it. Like, she's like, I'm over it. I love them. I'm over it, though. Like, I'm tired of like, this man, I got to deal with this man all the time. He's over here bringing trash in the house. He's dropping conspiracies. He can't cook. My sister stay talking that mess. Like, I feel like you understand why she is the way she is, like, in her family. Like, you can tell, like, okay, I got to be serious because look what I got to deal with.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good, like, that was a good thing that we saw from her, like, kind of understanding, like, okay, she makes sense as a cop. She makes sense in this situation because, like, she has to keep it together for everyone because her family is very, like, wild in a way. You know, like, they all just very strong personalities.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Ryan Rants and Raves. I just want to say my favorite part of this entire episode is when they're in the lab and Jade and the doctor are looking at the little map of Sheffield, and they're trying to figure out where the source of the spiders are. And I'm like really into that scene, right? Like I'm like, yeah, okay, let's find these spiders. And then they change the damn camera angle, and Ryan is in the background making hand shadow puppets. And I was like, what are you doing?
It took me until you said that, until you were like, rolling. Shadow puppets. I was like, because I'm sitting there like, what is he doing? Yeah, and I'm like, is that what he's reading?
He's the little dog one.
Yeah. You know, I can't see, so I just see him in the background, like, moving. And I was like, what is he?
Same. I didn't notice it until somebody tweeted it. And then when I watched it again, I was like, wow.
Yeah,
but it's like, he's such a nerd. It's so cute.
So it was like, it's so cute. But it was also one of the things we were talking about the, like, tone and, like, the way that the show, like, the balance of the show. Mm-hmm. And like, so this is a serious moment, and we're trying to figure out, like, where's the thing, and, like, the doctor's being all brilliant, but, like, low-key, I couldn't focus because the first thing I saw was Ryan in between the two of them. And so then I'm just laughing. And then I'm like, oh, wait, what they figure out?
What did they figure out?
Cool. All right, for sure. But, like, Ryan's just in the back like, ooh, look, it's a bird. Like,
and I wonder if that was even scripted or if it was just if it was just off the cuff and they thought it would actually suit the character. Because it seems like something like I would do. Because I'm just in a room with that
the camera
lighting
right around.
And I mean, like, clearly the doctor and Jade are, like, the smartest people in the room. They're figuring it out. Like, I'm going to just wait till they figure it out.
See what they do.
Let me know.
I thought that was funny because I'm like, Ryan he really, like, even when stuff bothers him, he doesn't act bothered that much. So, like, the fact that they're having this very serious discussion, like, where are the spiders and all this, and he like, they'll find spiders, we'll just go wherever they find. Like, I love that. And I didn't see it right away, but when somebody tweeted it, I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. And then when I rewatched it, I'm like, wow, he's really back there just straight putting on a little puppet show.
Exactly.
That's so funny.
And then I also love comments on it. Like, it's not like the doctor looks back and is like, what are you doing? They just
that's what makes it hilarious, because it's like, it's just y'all see that? Like, it's like the cameraman, like, y'all see this?
Moment. Yeah.
Like, y'all see that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this is two small things, they're not actual, but when they're almost crashing, when they're landing, the very beginning of the episode, and they're like fumbling around, and Graham's like, do you even know what you're doing? Ryan smiles. And I'm just like...
a couple times when he smiled, and I was like...
And then, when Yaz invites him for tea, he smiles again.
That one.
That was the one that got
me. All aboard?
Dimple was very potent. I was like, wait, this is too cute.
It's fine. I also like that there is still, like, even though these are, like, this is the beginning of, like, the Yaz episodes, I like that it's clear that he's still going to have character development within the story, you know what I mean? So, like, we're still getting stuff with his dad, even though that's not the main focus, and the main focus is on Yaz and her family. We still get other things happening with Ryan that will continue on through. I mean, unfortunately, though, where we can tell where his particular storyline is going because it's going to conflate with Graham's. And so part of me is like, I like this, but also I just don't want to do the granddad thing.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's like, I know it's coming, it's happening, but like, you can maybe not do it, you know? But I did like, even though I don't want to get to this place that we're talking about, but they're going to get there. But, like, I really actually liked how he kind of took up for Graham in a way, because he was like, I don't like that he said proper family. And, you know, and it's like, at the end of the day, family is what you want family to be. Like, you can determine for yourself what family is. Like, clearly for Ryan, his dad is not family. Like, I don't know that man. Like, whatever. He's not family. But, like, family is who, you know, who I am with or who I choose to keep in my life. And I feel like that was kind of him saying, like, you're still valid as a family member because of whatever, you know. And I thought that was really cute, I guess.
I think it also was a commentary of, like, you can't be proper family if you get up and leave and then you decide that you want to be proper family.
That's what I'm saying. Like proper family, like, you making it seem like just because we're related, we have to be, like, oh, that makes us family. Like, no, that doesn't make us family. Family is literally whatever I want it to be. But in this case, you haven't been a father, or you haven't been in my life, and you didn't come and for your mom's funeral. Like, so no, proper, no. He literally said he's not proper. Like, I don't know why you would think this is appropriate to say in this situation, considering. And so I like that he was very kind of firm. Like, just because that's my relative by blood does not mean that that is the person whose side I'm going to take in this situation, or who I'm going to gravitate to just on the basis that we're related. So I thought, I mean, if Graham wasn't so concerned about the Philin situation, he probably would have had something to say about it. But he was very like his face was so like, there is something we are not doing right now that we should be doing, but I don't want to interrupt this thought. So that was my favorite thing, I think, with Ryan, just him kind of being like, to make it clear, you're not, you know, excluded, I guess, from being family just based on
like
that
you don't get to just marry my grandma and then I call you granddad, but you also, it doesn't mean that we'll never be family.
Exactly.
Like, it's not, you know, like,
you have not no hard rules on it. Like, we're playing it by ear. It's open to maybe being that, but it's not. You're not excluded from that just because you're not my blood relative, and just because, you know, we don't have this person here anymore. And I think that was a good little moment for both of them, and that for Ryan to be like, because he's been very like, we're not related, bro. We're not. That's not who it is. But I think it's like, that don't mean we're not family. It just means you ain't Patty.
Don't get too familiar.
Right.
Let's build this relationship. Yeah.
I mean, I think just going off that too, I do like how, like, considerate Ryan is of Graham and his grief, because I do think that that's important. And we talked about, like, our issues with Graham's grief, or the depiction of it, or, you know, Grace should be here instead, but whatever. But I do like that he wants to be there for him without knowing him like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think this also just shows, like, who Ryan is as a person, beyond the fact that, like, they're grieving the same woman and they both have this, like, deep connection with the same woman. Like, he doesn't, when his grandmother was alive, he wasn't particularly keen on Graham and, like, how overly familiar and called me granddad and all this stuff. But that doesn't mean that, like, I don't see that you're hurting and I don't want to help you through hurt, you know? And to his credit, Graham does the same thing, you know, when, like, he says, I was hoping that we would look out for each other, and he does check in on Ryan, so it is, like, reciprocated. But I think it does, like, especially because Ryan's so young, it could have, like, he could very easily have held a grudge against Graham for Grace's death. Like, the doctor told you not to go in there. Why'd you let her go back in there? Why did you, you know what I mean? Like, he could have gone very negative and stayed in that place because he is very young and she meant the world to him. But like, he does see he's very considerate, but he's also, I think he knows who Grace was too.
Yeah,
but
like, Grace is not, like, she's definitely, like, he can't, like, it would have been out of...
Grace isn't letting anyone tell her what to do.
That's the thing about it, like, you're like, you can't even be mad at him. Like, I know we did not give you an opportunity. Like, you had no chance in that situation.
Yeah, but I think that, like, the thing with, like, grief and stuff is that, like, sometimes that doesn't matter. And, like, you can logically know something, but still take it out on someone else. And I like that. I think it shows who Ryan is, that he's choosing, like, it doesn't sit well with him to just watch someone going through it.
Mm-hmm. And, like, not to put additional weight on that person by, like it could be very easy for him to not necessarily blame Graham, but to, like, put that extra, like, you know, you're here and she's not thing. Like, that could be, because I mean, let me be on there. I'd be like,
That's how I feel.
Right, like the survivor's guilt type of,
he's
like,
not
thing,
us, right? So, like, that's the thing. That's what makes him great, because he's, like, it's so easy for him to go that route, because that's where we going. I'm on Twitter every week, like, so Grace still in here, and we did our Graham, cool. But he's not doing that. He's not putting that on Graham and making Graham feel like it should have been, like, when Graham says it, oh, it should have been me. And, you know, we all collectively like, I mean, you right. But, like, Ryan is like, Grace wouldn't want me to agree with that statement, whether or not he does or not. I feel like he just really doesn't want to make it unnecessarily hard for Graham. Like, I think he doesn't, like, care about, doesn't care about him. He's not close to him, but he doesn't want to make his life harder, knowing that, I think a lot of stuff that Ryan does actually in relation to Graham is, like, how he thinks Grace would want them to be, if that makes sense. Like, I think she would want me to take care of him as much as she would want him to take care of me. And knowing that, he's like, I'm not going to push him away because Grace would have wanted, or, you know, my nan would have wanted me to keep this person in my life, even if it's, you know, peripherally. And so, yeah, I agree with that.
And the fact that he knows that Graham meant something to Nan, so he, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Quotes from the TARDIS?
Yes, result. And I just wonder if that's going to be the Doctor's new catchphrase.
No. It's not terrible, but
I just kind of I like the umph with which she said it.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm just hoping that there's a better. It's not Alonzi or Brilliant or, you know, it's not as catchy, but I get, like, she did say it with some gusto.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
And I definitely have to mention, I used to be a sister. So that's like, what?
Since when?
Run that back?
Yeah.
I think that's a fun little line that, I know Connie mentioned it, like, wait, what now?
This is like the bane of Connie's existence, because we delineate the Doctors by number. You know what I mean? Like, and they let it, and like marketing does it as well. Like, I just saw the, you know, I think season 7 when 11 walks in and goes, on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared are you? 11 or whatever.
They did it a lot, actually, early on. I'm like, wow, they really leaned into that 11 so hard.
Yeah, and like the 11th hour and like all the stuff. And then they did it again with 12. And so I get why Connie's like, you can't lean heavy on that and then make, like, it might be the 15th reincarnation or whatever. Like, what is it? Like, have some consistency here on that.
And I think somebody said that they thought it was reference to like a nun. Like, I used to be a sister, and then I read it as when nun. I looked at when I rewatched it, I listened to it more, and it's like I used to be a sister at Aqua, something like an Aqua Academy, training assassins of some sort. So I'm like, I think she meant like a sister at some type of like Red Sparrow convent place, where they're just, I don't know, pumping out assassins. But yeah, it's still one of those lines that
it's still like they usually only have women assassins, so
yeah, so it's like, I'm like, okay, but that is still like, where's that episode? Drop that. Like, I want to see whatever there's funny little thing going on here. And I also like when she just said, I eat danger for breakfast.
Yes.
But then, like, oh no, I don't. Actually, I eat cereal and croissants. And I thought that was hilarious. Like, she's immediately like, let's be clear.
She was trying to sound all like
badass, and then she
but like immediately, like
let's be truthful.
Because it's such a thing that you hear people say, but she's like, let's be clear, this is not true.
Just in case you're going to bring me lunch one day.
Yeah.
I really don't bring me danger.
Don't bring me danger. Bring me cereal.
Nadia, you made a very awesome human. Tell me what's going on. Like she's just like she stands for her
best friend.
I love
her besties.
I love how she immediately just kind of, in a lot of ways, like gave a little authority to Nadia that, the doctor has the authority, but she always kind of passed it on to Nadia, like, okay, we following Nadia. Oh, Nadia knows this. And I like that she was like, she said, Yadi's mom. I love that she would constantly kind of throw to her, like, you got this. And it was like kind of reaffirming that, she knows what she's doing. And like, this guy is bumbling and he's an idiot, but this woman here that you fired is clearly the one that knows what's going on. So I loved all those but okay. So I don't know if we're going to talk about it, so I'm going to bring it up. Nadia is clearly very on board with any situation that
she wants grandchildren.
Finds herself in romantically.
She wants Yaz to settle down, get married, get out of her house.
Right.
I don't care if that's with Ryan. I don't care if that's with the doctor. That was also one of my quotes.
I thought was interesting.
She said, "We're not dating, are we?"
Yeah, she was like,
"Are we?"
I definitely could have missed the sign. So
yeah, I mean, I said we were besties. I don't know if that means something new.
Yeah,
but I love that it wasn't even like her mom wasn't like, oh, y'all are dating. It was like, oh, you like that would make sense to me. That is a situation where I would understand why you like know her. But she's like, no. So she's like, okay, now I don't get the situation again. I'm back to not understanding the situation.
Yeah,
and then
it's
again
very
with
much
Ryan,
reminded me of
how
my
do you know
mom.
each other?
Which is just like, why are you not with a human? Like, I don't, like, at this point, gay, straight, whatever, like, why are you still alone?
Like, I just love
I like
and she was just like, why do you know these people? I think it was like they're so out of pocket for you. Like, these are so not your type of people that I'm trying to figure out why you would be around them. So her thought was like, you must be dating her. Like, now you dating her, and now you got these weird friends because, you mean her friends. Like,
right.
I think that's how she, like, thought about it. And so when she was like, okay, now she sees her and Ryan together, like, wait a minute, this might be the one.
Right.
You guys dating.
Right.
Like,
he's the one bringing around the weird people.
They both looked at each other and they were like, no. I was like,
Ryan was a little sad.
They both did. They both looked a little.
I feel like they both were just like, we've never talked. Like, we've actually never.
Like, we haven't even gotten close to talking about it, so we can't
even have an answer. Right. So I thought that was fair. I like Nadia because she was just very like, I'm on board with whatever. I just need to understand. Like,
I literally think she was like, I just need grandchildren and for you to get out of the house. So whichever way, however that's going to work out, whatever gets us there quicker, that's what we're going to do. Yeah,
but I definitely feel like that. I now read Yaz as non-heterosexual. I'm not gonna say gay, straight, but bi, whatever. I mean, but
yeah.
Because the fact that it wasn't like her mom wasn't like either option didn't seem to faze her. It wasn't like, oh, you're dating her. Are you dating? Like, it wasn't like this woman. It was like, this one or is it that one? Like, I felt like that was interesting.
Right.
Which one is it? Yeah.
So I'm like, I would like. I honestly thought this earlier in the season too. Like, I felt like that if somebody like Yang could maybe actually play into like not a love triangle, because I don't really care for that as a term and like a thing they do, but just like her being like, nope, we kind of don't know, and then having the like flirty energy with Ryan, which you kind of see a little bit, but also having that kind of energy with the doctor and just playing with that a little bit, because I feel like that would be funny, especially like if Ryan is how he is, where it's like they kind of seem like they both have, I don't know, feelings or thoughts, but they don't really talk to each other about it.
Yeah.
And then you add like the doctor, her like a flirty energy with the doctor. He's something like, I don't understand what all our relationships are in this situation. Like, Graham is the only one we know what's going on. Everybody else is up in the air. And I was like, I really kind of want them to do that, just because I'm like, not, it doesn't have to be like a big part of the season or nothing. Just like a fun thing where it's like, it could be I don't know what's happening, and like just everybody not know how to read this. Like, are these signs, or is it signals? I think that would be funny.
That always scares me, because I worry that we'll get like a Rory being jealous of the doctor like type of situation with Ryan.
That's why I want it to be like a direct love triangle, but I just want it to be more like, because none of us are talking about it, but everybody's equally like attractive, and we all kind of like the energy is like, are we flirting? Are we free? What are we doing? Like, I just kind of wanted it to be a thing where somebody at a point is like, I don't know what happened. So that would be fun to me. But with the Rory.
Yeah.
Are you Ed Sheeran? Is he Ed Sheeran? Everybody talks about Ed Sheeran around here now, don't they? It reminds me that she has to like figure out references not only through like what planet she's on, but also like what time period it is. Mm-hmm. So she's like, I'm gonna guess that this is correct. like
I feel like we're in approximately the right time frame for this to be the right valid reference. Mm-hmm. I thought that was like one of those funny kind of things where it's like, and also I kind of feel like it's right and wrong, because like Ed Sheeran I feel like he's less popular than he was maybe within the last year, but it's still relevant and valid. So I'm like, I think you might have got it right, but it's just a funny thought to have. Like, of all the people in the whole wide world, to land on Ed Sheeran was funny.
I see it coming.
That's what I love. It's like, how did we get to this place? Like, how did you get there from what we were talking about?
Yeah.
So that's what I thought was really funny.
I call people dude now. She just keeps trying to come up with her little. She's trying to be
figure out who she is.
Yeah, I like
how
that.
She's cool. Yeah, you can't be president if you fired Yaz's mom. I loved the Yaz's mom, Nadja. Yaz's mom, Nadja. But like that part was just like, nope, that's a disqualifier. You can't. No one will take you seriously for president if you fire Yaz's mom. Mm-hmm. So that was and I thought it was cute and funny, and it was another way to lighten the moment after we've just seen a bunch of spiders.
Yeah.
And I really just like the whole gang saying, like, who said, like, why is she in charge? Because we say, like, all of them just, like agreeing, say, like, she is, and we say so. And it's like, nobody's going to argue it, because, like, everybody who's not in the gang is like, now, like, what have they been, like, what? What is going on?
Mom is like, what is this? Because it's only been
30 minutes.
These people.
But that's what was funny, because especially when they like
y'all got roles.
Yeah.
Like, that's when they all say, says us. And it's like, okay, now I need to understand, because y'all, people I've never met, all agree on this situation that don't make sense to my mind. Like, I thought that was really funny, because they like, we're tired, we're done, we know the answer here, so just follow our lead. This is the situation. I thought that was funny too.
Yeah, I like that one. Cool. So thank you for listening. You can check us out at blackgirlscreate.org. Follow on Twitter at WeBlackandNerds. Follow Nicole at BlackTardis, and use the hashtag TARBIS, time and relative blackness in space, to discuss Doctor Who with us and all things Who-niverse. I've never actually said that word out loud. I don't usually use that word, but whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Who-niverse.
Who-niverse. Join our Slack, where we have a channel dedicated to conversations about Doctor Who. Rate and review us on iTunes and where podcasts are found. We are now on Spotify. So if you listen to, or if you want to switch it up and go to Spotify, because that's where you listen to other things, like, you can do that now because we're on there. And Tarbis is a part of Hard Knock Media. We have joined the Nerds of Color podcast network, including podcasts like Hard Knock Life, Southern Fried Asian, DC TV Classics, Ask Bi Girls, Desi Geek Girls, We're Not All Ninjas, and That Moment. You can check out all these podcasts at hardnocmedia.com.
And we will see you guys next week when we discuss episode 5, the Saranga Conundrum. Saranga.
We're going to agree with.
I'm assuming the T is silent.
So am I. So the Saranga Conundrum. Mm-hmm. See you then.
Bye.
The black girls have the box.